Let's go to Ashley in Pittsburgh. Hey, Ashley, what's up?
Hi, thanks for taking my call. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good.
All right, so what's up?
I have quite the doozy for you. So I was
Bring
watching
it.
your show, and I have recently been having an issue with my mother-in-law, and I can say it's recent, but it actually has been going on for quite some time. So my husband and I just welcomed a daughter, and she's 5 weeks old.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And whenever we go to visit family, we don't go to visit my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. And that's due to, just to get right into it. My mother-in-law, she has been suffering from anxiety and depression evidently for like 25 years. And in the time that I've been in the family, like 7 years later, I've really watched it escalate. And it's really tough. And this is a tough situation for the whole family because it's one of those things that nobody's been able to put their thumb on why we can't help some of the things that she's been that have been affecting the rest of us. So really what my question is we don't go over to visit because her house is absolutely filthy. And my father-in-law, I think that he's just exhausted, and there's nothing that he's been able to do to get a hold of it or try to better the situation. And she also smokes in the home. And I just had an appointment for my daughter like a week ago, and the doctor asked, is she exposed to secondhand smoke? And I said no, but that's because we don't go over to visit. But this whole myriad of issues has driven a little bit of a wedge between me and my mother-in-law because I just won't take her over to their house. Instead,
let's reframe that. Okay, is that cool?
Okay.
I want to reframe this whole conversation. The rift in the family is not because of your mother-in-law. The rift in your family is because your family and probably your husband's family is trying to solve problems that the person with the challenges is not asking them to solve and really has no interest in changing. And so what's happening is a whole bunch of people are making themselves crazy trying to fix a problem that the person who's experiencing it doesn't want fixed. And so
I was afraid you were going to say
and in similar,
I called because I was like, man, I've pulled out all the stops. I've done everything I can do.
There's no stops. Here's the one thing you haven't done. The only thing that matters here. And that is look that sweet little baby girl in the eye and say, I've got one job, and that's to the best of my ability to keep you safe. Not keep you infinitely protected from scraping your little knee and getting in trouble and getting dumped. That's life. But I'm talking about from things that are going to harm you. And sending your kid to somebody who's not well in a home full of smoke, in a home that you have described as unsanitary, is not safe.
Yeah.
And so, because your mother-in-law is either unable to or is not interested in doing the hard stuff she would need to do to get well, she by proxy is choosing to not see that little girl. It's as simple as that. And to my colleagues who would say, well, she can't make that choice because she's struggling with X, Y, and Z, that's fine too. This isn't a blaming conversation. This is just laying out the facts. Whether she's choosing to not get well, I don't think anybody's choosing to be anxious. I don't think anybody chooses to be a hoarder or to live in filth. I don't think that's a choice. I think I'm choosing to not get well, right? That's a byproduct. Or they can't make that choice and it just is. Either way, I'm not putting my kid in that situation.
Right.
Okay.
So that's where I struggle because I want to help and I've done everything I can. Would you recommend any?
I would recommend that you detox.
That I can read about?
Nope. I would detox. You got to detox from being a people pleaser. And you have to detox from being, I'm freaking Ashley from Pittsburgh and I'm in control of everything. No, you're not. And you also should detox from,
you're right.
I'm in control of everything in my own little world because you just had a baby and you are not. And that's going to make you mad. Not mad like angry, but mad insane.
Yeah.
Because you could control it all until baby came. And then you have those moments that you realize you think back to some of the dates you've been on. And you think back to some of the things that people told you on the school bus. And there's that moment that all new parents have. I have them. And by the way, it's not just new parents. It's when our kids go to different stages. Like when my kid went to middle school, I thought back to the things I was a part of and things that happened to me in middle school. And I got sick to my stomach. I got literally ill. I thought of the things I said to little kids when I was in elementary school and I was in middle school. I was mean. And I have a 7-year-old daughter. And it makes me ill, like to my stomach, to know that there's going to be people like me around her. I can get choked up saying it if I'm not careful. And this is the part where love gets really scary. And most of us, when things get scary, we tighten our grip around the wheel. And it doesn't help anything. Sometimes the greatest gift is to loosen our grip on that wheel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So don't get your esteem and don't get your value and don't take your angst out on trying to fix your mother-in-law. She has not invited you into that conversation. She hasn't asked for your help. She doesn't want to be less anxious. She doesn't want to.
She has asked for my help.
Okay.
And I've done everything I can, and that's where I feel like I've done reading, and
this is about
known
practice.
Other people with this, and at the risk of sounding ignorant towards anxiety and depression, I don't experience it, but she's been battling this and has been to so many doctors and has been on countless medications, which scares me because when you're switching medications constantly, that can't be good for her brain. And I think to the future, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
I mean,
but then it goes back to what you said with
you can't control that.
She doesn't want to get better.
Right. And so here's the deal. She might say the words, I want your help. And if you've listened to this show for more than a couple of episodes, I always probably say it too much. Behavior is a language. So I can tell my wife, I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better husband. And then I never help with the dishes. I don't want to be a better husband, no matter what I'm saying. Because my actions are speaking very loudly. And I can say, I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to be anxious anymore. I'm tired of feeling anxious all the time. And my actions say, well, I'm not going to call a counselor. I'm not going to start hanging out with people and get some community in my life. I'm not going to start eating well and taking care of my body. I'm not going to do that. Well, behavior is a language.
I'm going to write that down. That's some good stuff.
but here's the deal. Don't go to war with it. Open your hands up. It's an is.
Yeah.
And know this, that when I've got two competing rules and they often intersect and they don't always, the two rules of life, or two of many rules of life I have. Number one is I don't speak to just have said something. That's our Instagram-y world. Like people are always asking, why didn't you comment on this? And why didn't you comment on that? Because I don't have anything to add to the noise. People don't want to know what I have to think about things. They just want to see if I'm on their team about a thing. So that's number one. I only speak if I can actually be heard. The second thing is, I don't let. Let me say it this way: it's cruel to put up boundaries and not let people know that there's a boundary there, and they're just running in, and they all of a sudden they smash into something they didn't know was there. And I get that with your mother-in-law. She may not be able to hear it if you sit down and say, I love you so much. And I'm so grateful for you. I'm not comfortable, nothing to do with her. I'm not comfortable bringing my kid into a house where somebody smokes inside. I'm not comfortable bringing my kid into this house because as we've talked about, it's really unsanitary. I'll be with you if you ask for my help. You want to clean this sucker up and all that. I'm all in. But right now, I'm making this choice. If she can,
am I a bad person if I've thrown in the towel on trying to help in multiple ways? Because I've been there to help clean.
No.
And
no,
because I'm just exhausted.
No, you're not a bad person.
Like the rest of the family. And that's where I have a hard time. Like, man, she's 50.
Yeah.
And is this just how life's going to be. We're just going to
own reality.
Well, I guess we are just
choose reality.
It is what it is. Or it is what it is.
I choose reality,
Okay.
and I wouldn't do this show if I didn't believe deeply that. Man, I just seen people come back from the brink in all different ages, all different situations, all different, like, from the wildest trauma to 60 and 70-year-olds saying I'm just going to be different now. And they just choose a different path. So I'm in this for the long haul. I don't believe in, quote unquote, giving up on somebody. I also believe in living in reality. And so you've been there a bunch. You've tried to clean up a bunch. It has not worked. Great. I'm going to stop expending energy all the time trying to solve that problem. And quite frankly, that exhaustion you feel is probably you on the treadmill. You're not going anywhere. You're just running really hard. If there comes a moment when she says, I'm ready, finally. I'm ready. I'm seeing a counselor. I'm meeting with my doctor to get some stability here. I want to start doing regular lunches or breakfast or whatever once a week with so-and-so, and fill in the blank here. We're going to set up a pattern. We're going to set up a life. You're going to find you have a lot more energy because you haven't been just sprinting and getting nowhere, right? But no, don't ever apologize, especially as a mom of a 5-week-old or a 5-month-old, for not having energy. You get a moment. You get a moment. And particularly, do not apologize for your boundaries. It's a conversation for you and your spouse to sit down and say, okay, what boundaries do we want to have for this little one? And we have to be on the same page as we move forward. We're going to be in this together. Congratulations on having a little baby. I wish it was different. I know that's not how you envisioned this thing going. I know that. And I'm sorry. And the only thing you can handle is what comes next. The only thing you can deal with is what comes next. Can't wait to see what happens.